Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again. Have you all been enjoying the camp talk so far today? I'm sure I'm really excited for this one, and I hope all the participants feel the same too. It's rainy in my area, so I hope all of you are safe and comfortable right now on this Saturday afternoon. So, I'm Carmen, your host for this session, and we would like to thank you for tuning into this session brought to you by LIMS Review Center, the Princeton Review Philippines, AUG Philippines, and AECC Philippines. So, for this session, I hope you're excited because we'll be having a panel. This panel, Majors on the Map, is a group discussion that's going to go over the different fields of study that can be pursued abroad. Our audience has a diverse set of academic interests from art to business to STEM, so we want to give them an idea of what they'll be doing if they decide to pursue these abroad. So, for guidelines, before we proceed with the talk formally, let's lay down the house rules. So, first, please do not spam the Q&A box or send any inappropriate messages. Second, everyone at camp is working very hard to make your conference experience amazing, so please be respectful at all times. Third, all questions must be sent in the Q&A box. Questions in the chat box might get lost in all the messages. So, now that we're all familiar with the house rules, please allow me to introduce our panelists for this session. Our first speaker, Anika, is an incoming sophomore at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Currently taking up a major in global business, she is interested in fields including consulting and business analytics, especially in the fashion and beauty industry. She is a huge foodie and adventure seeker who also loves getting to know new people. Let's all give a virtual round of applause for Anika Ng. Our next speaker, Julia, is a business and finance major studying at Singapore Management University. She is currently doing an internship on their Capital Land Investments Data Center Fund under the Private Equity Alternative Assets team. During her time in the Philippines, Julia graduated from Immaculate Conception Academy with honors. She has also co-founded a youth organization, sailed under the Philippine National Sailing Team, done volunteer work with different animal shelters and orphanages, amongst other things. Whilst in Singapore, she joined organizations such as the Asia Private Equity Club at SMU, where she participated in various activities and case competitions. In fact, placing as a finalist in the 2021 countrywide APECS Venture Capital Case competition, which she was fourth out of 96 teams. She is passionate about maximizing your potential, not falling into stereotypes, and giving back to your community. Please give a round of applause for Julia Lim. Our third speaker, Isaac, finished his grade school education in Xavier School San Juan before transferring to the British School Manila to complete the IB diploma, graduating in 2021. Currently, he is based in the UK, having just completed his sophomore year in Imperial College London studying design engineering. Additionally, he is currently supporting the university by working as a teaching assistant and conducting research. Please welcome Isaac Siy. For our next speaker, Renne is a current college undergraduate at the University of British Columbia taking Bachelor of Arts with an undecided major. She graduated from MGC New Life Christian Academy with the ABM Accounting, Business, and Management strand, where they were taught core business classes such as marketing, finance, economics, and etc. Let's welcome Renne Salva. Last but not least, Jada is an incoming freshman at the University of Notre Dame, planning to pursue a double major in visual communication design and psychology, and minors in computing and innovation. She received the University Scholarship Award and is a chosen Glynn Family Honors Program scholar, aiming to dive into research surrounding UX/UI design and tech for social good. She started her design studio in 2016 and has since partnered with local NGOs in campaigning for quality education and youth political participation. Early this year, she graduated from St. Pedro Poveda College as Outstanding Student and Artist of the Year, where she spent time leading creative community projects. Let's all give another round of virtual applause for Jada. So from that, we will officially be starting the panel. How this will work is I will read the questions out loud and then you guys can take turns answering one by one. We can go from Anika, Julia, Isaac, Renne, and then Jada in that order. So first, we would like a brief introduction from all of you. So if you could please give us your name, school, major, and current year. Let's start with Anika.
Hi everyone, so my name's Anika. I'm a sophomore and I'm taking up a major of global business at HKUST.
Hi everyone, so my name is Julia and I go to Singapore Management University. I'm a finance major and I'm currently at my senior year.
Hi everyone, I'm Isaac. I am getting my master's degree at Imperial College London for design engineering.
Hi everyone, I'm Renne and I'm an incoming sophomore at the University of British Columbia, or UBC for short, in Vancouver, Canada. Oh, and I'm still deciding what major I want to pursue in.
Hi everyone, my name is Jada and this fall I'll be a first year studying at the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana in the States, and I'll be double majoring in visual communication design and psychology and minoring in computing and digital technologies and innovation.
So thank you for that brief introduction from all of you. So our next question is, how did you decide on pursuing your specific major and what factors influenced your choice to study abroad? Is academics a major part of why you applied to your school?
So for me, academics did play a major part in why I applied to HKUST, but I think so did the location, food, and the community, as well as the career opportunities present in Hong Kong. So I'm sure everyone's pretty much aware that Hong Kong is like a financial hub of Asia. So I knew that I'd be exposed to lots of career opportunities. So for instance, like in my first year, I was already able to work as a student consultant. So I worked with brands like Love Bonito or On Us, and I worked as a consultant for them. So I think like those bigger type of opportunities were a huge part of why I applied abroad.
I guess I'm answering next. So I think similar to Anika, Singapore is also known as a finance hub in Asia. Well, if you read a lot of current news these days, a lot of big companies and banks are shifting their headquarters to Singapore because of stronger political stability. But aside from that, I think also because in Singapore, a lot of the people are really known for excellence with how they work and just the quality of their output. So I felt that if I were to be around these people, it would influence me more in terms of achieving the things that I want to achieve, particularly with my career. And in the future, I want to put up a business in the Philippines.
Hi, yes. Academics was a very big part of my decision because I really enjoyed the academic side of studying and stuff. And I was really into engineering, so I wanted to apply to a good engineering university. And of the top 10 universities in engineering, Imperial is the one in London, which has significantly better financial options than in the US. It's much cheaper. So while being a very good uni, it's still really cheap and affordable. So I chose that one.
For me, yes, academics was a major part of why I applied to UBC. Since UBC is part of the top 40 universities in the world, the education there compared to the ones in the Philippines is very different. Studying there taught me independence and like how to build character. And I guess studying in UBC also teaches you a different way of learning, since in the Philippines, we're used to like the Asian style of learning, if that makes sense. But in UBC, I could really see the difference from studying there back compared to back in my high school and when my friends were studying in the Philippines here, like at Ateneo or LaSalle, they would tell me their stories and it's very different compared to UBC. However, studying abroad comes with challenges and such as adjusting to the new culture, being far away from family and friends, and potentially higher costs. But ultimately, whether studying at UBC or any other university abroad is the right choice depending on the individual circumstances, academic interests, and career choices.
So yes, for me, academics definitely is my primary reason for choosing Notre Dame because though I knew I was interested in the field of art and design, I still wanted an interdisciplinary undergraduate education that you can't get if you were to only apply to an art school. So Notre Dame has a core curriculum that pushes you to take classes in the liberal arts, mixed with foundational philosophy, theology, and writing courses. And being part of the College of Arts and Letters also allows me to pursue multiple majors, minors, and electives in other schools, like the School of Engineering and Mendoza School of Business. So this makes it possible for me to integrate my passion for design with fields of entrepreneurship, psychology, and computer science. So this is why when building my college list, I first and foremost set my eye on universities that had this flexible curriculum for me to explore a variety of fields that could be a supplement to what I'm already majoring in.
Thank you for those insightful responses. So now we want to ask, what are the specific benefits and opportunities that studying your field abroad can offer compared to studying it in the Philippines? For example, research or networking opportunities.
So for our school, we have a lot of organizations, like specifically for business students. So like I was saying earlier, I'm part of a consulting club, which gave me a lot of opportunities to work with actual clients. So that's also one. And then the second one is that for my major specifically, we are like required, it's a graduation requirement for us to go on exchange. So we have multiple exchange partners. So I think just that alone, like making it a requirement for graduation and allowing you to go on like business visits, if we have company visits or like school visits as well during those exchange trips. So I think that's one opportunity that is different from, you know, studying business in the Philippines.
For Singapore Management University, it's quite similar to what Anika said as well. So we're required to do exchange, and we have a lot of clubs that cater to different business interests. So we have a private equity venture capital club, we have consulting as well. And yeah, but I think something that I want to highlight that is quite helpful is that SMU has a lot of partnerships with different businesses as well as organizations, and they really try to help students to give them different opportunities in terms of, let's say, a student program where they can work with a different company, or programs where they allow students to have, let's say, startup ideas and they fund it. So I think that Singapore is really known for that in terms of innovation and really trying to maximize the potential of a student. In terms of networking as well, Singapore has so many different international companies. You meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and you get to really understand more about the whole mix of different cultures and how to adapt to it.
Yeah. So one of the benefits that the UK has over the Philippines is that, especially in engineering, it's really easy to get access to parts and specific like workshop requirements and stuff. So that's one. And another one is that, specifically in my experience anyway, the research available is really good because the professors you have are the top of their field. So it's so currently I'm doing like brain modeling under someone who's the head of this field in brain modeling. So it's very good to learn from. There's no better way to learn from it personally. So yeah, I think that's my input.
For UBC, you could apply to be a research assistant or a TA and help professors with their research. So for TAs, they are in charge of helping the prof like grade papers, handle discussion classes or labs. For classes that are too big and that need to be broken down into smaller groups for further discussion of the lessons for the week. And we also have a co-op program where students have an extra year to their college life, and then they work outside of UBC in any internship program, but are still considered a UBC student, if I'm not mistaken. But what's good about this is that you get to have work experience in different internships and get good credentials for when applying for a different job for a different job outside of university.
So another main factor for choosing Notre Dame is the Glynn Family Honors Program. So it's a pool of select freshmen where you can develop meaningful mentoring relationships with professors who give special advising in applying for research positions. And you're also given generous funding to start your own research project. I know that for students in the art department, Glynn funding has allowed them to spend summers in Italy and Peru for cultural immersion so that they could get inspiration for their senior thesis, which for some were to make musical plays or children's books or mobile apps. And to add, the school also has a Silicon Valley semester program where students are able to reside in the Bay Area and take courses and workshops focused on technology and innovation from industry leaders, and participate in part-time internships with big-name companies. So for most, these actually turn into full-time jobs after the amazing networking you gain from this program. And lastly, the Visual Communication Design program, students are funded trips to out-of-state conferences for career building, and they can also join the annual Alumni Design Conference. So the school also has an innovation lab and idea center where you can turn concepts and ideas you have into tangible products and businesses. So that's what I find particularly valuable about the school.
Thank you so much for those answers. So our next question for our panelists would be, can you share any personal experiences that highlight the unique advantages of studying your major in an international setting?
So for my major specifically in global business, it's an extremely small major with only around 40 to 50 people per cohort. So we have a lot of like mixers, like social mixers, where during the start of the sem and during the end of the sem, we would be connected to alumni as well as like all the years, so all 4 years in the major. So in these like specific events, we would be able to get like we have like other town halls and other kind of presentations that we can watch, like the alumni just kind of show and present about how they work in like fields like consulting or like finance. So they have different talks about those. Also for global business, there are a lot of different study tours that are specific to our major. So such study tours are only available for global business students. So we have like an upcoming one, I think in Spain, during the winter time. So in these ones, we can have company visits, school visits, and just also they'd allow us to like spend time around the country as well. So yeah.
Sorry, can I ask, is the question in relation to the specific experiences of the major or like the school as a whole?
Yeah, studying your major in an international setting.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think for Singapore, it's quite similar to my previous answer. You really gain a lot of access to really big companies and a lot of people that are quite later down in their career. So in terms of advice that they can give you as a student, it's really helpful. Also with Singapore, they really try to mix a lot of different cultures and try to give students different experiences to meet people from different cultures. So at SMU, they have this Icon Club, which I think is a club for all the international students. So it's quite easy to make friends. They also share their experiences and try to help you. But for me, I think one thing that I want to emphasize that's quite helpful for me at least was in Singapore, a lot of, let's say, the case competitions or internships that you do, you're really going to be around a lot of international people. And I think that is very helpful in terms of setting a standard with your output. So you're benchmarked quite well, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, something that I would also say that I benefited from, apart from the professors being very knowledgeable in their fields, is that with a very diverse set of cohort of colleagues and stuff, they have really big range of interests, and all of them are very good at what they do. So for example, I have some friends working on the Tokyo bullet train. I have some friends who launched a rocket into space. So the standard you're being held to in an international setting is much higher than it would be there, not particularly because they're even better than you or anything. It's just much harder to get into certain situations or certain interests when you're in stuck in one spot?
So for me right now, I'm in the Bachelor of Arts, and since I still have an undecided major, what I like about arts is that there are a lot of majors to choose from, ranging from creative writing, economics, psychology, international relations, and interdisciplinary studies, and there are a lot. And then you can still minor in like different courses. So I'm planning to minor in commerce. And what I also like about arts, it's very general. So then we also have like requirements for arts. So you need to take these classes so that you can graduate arts as well. So we have like a writing component. And for that one, I took research. So for us in me and ABM, it's somehow it's like the practical research that I had in ABM, that class. Then we also have any elective, and then language requirement, a literature requirement, and a science requirement. So I guess what's good about that is that you get to try every single thing. So it's like somehow like a core class where it's somehow like the ones that I mentioned a while ago. I took those classes already in grade 11 and 12. So they're pretty similar to what I'm going to be studying in UBC. So I guess what's good about that is you get to try a lot of different courses and then see what you feel, what major you want to take in. And I think I remember talking to one of my arts advisors. I asked her about psychology, and I asked her how many years does it take for me to like, how long is psychology? And she said that I could even take it up to 7 years, like if I wanted to, as long as I just like stay in UBC and like pay for the classes. So that was pretty cool.
So Notre Dame's design department is generally small compared to other schools, but this is what I find most appealing because when asking upperclassmen, it's helped them form the most close-knit connections to professors that's helped them in job and internship search. So compared to other fields, the opportunities in this department are also more reachable and available to the select few who are into the arts. And this in return makes your studies feel more personalized, and the community is much less cutthroat, with your peers being people whom you collaborate with instead of competing with.
That's great. Thank you for sharing all your experiences. So before we move on to the next question, we want to give a chance to the later speakers to answer first. So from now on, can we start the order from Jada and then Renne, then Isaac, then Julia, then Anika? Thank you. So moving on now. Are there any scholarship opportunities or financial aid specifically available for students pursuing certain fields abroad? And how can students access them? Are they easy to apply for? How do these compare to the opportunities for other fields?
So in the Notre Dame setting, you're automatically qualified for financial aid and scholarships upon your application. So then for me, I received the university scholarship, which I didn't have to apply for. And it's a mix of merit. It's a mix of both merit and need-based. All I did was answer the CSS profile for inputting my family's financial status. And I know people who have also gotten scholarships in Notre Dame in regards with their merit accomplishments. So then for me, I think in the States, it's much easier to get financial aid and scholarships, especially from private universities as compared to schools like the University of California, where it's generally harder, and it's easier if you were to be a US citizen or a California citizen. So yes.
So for UBC, I'm not really sure about the scholarship, but I know for an international student, you can apply for the IMES scholarship. So it's for like exceptional international students entering undergraduate programs at UBC. And what I know about it, because I have a friend who's an IMES scholar, and she said that you need to maintain like a 75% in all your classes. So that's all I know for scholarship in UBC.
For universities in the UK, I'm pretty sure you need to apply for scholarships on a individual basis if you're interested. So that's per university. There's no common application or anything for that, as far as I'm aware. And it's definitely easier if you're a citizen. So it's not the best option if you need a scholarship for it, I think.
I think for Singapore, it's also not the best option for not a local Singaporean, because they definitely prioritize Singaporeans more. But for my case, for SME particularly, as an international student, you have the option to take like a scholarship, but it's more of like the government pays half of your tuition as a international student, but you're bound to stay in the country for 2 to 4 years. And you have to work for a Singaporean company in Singapore right after you graduate. And if you don't get a job afterwards, you have to pay back all that they saved from your tuition fee. But for other scholarship opportunities, I think it's best to check the SMU website or just check in Singapore. Yeah.
So for Hong Kong, similar to what Jada said for her university, when you apply, you're automatically like considered for a scholarship. So it's based on merit as well and like your overall performance. So they give a lot of like admission scholarships, and you can get like your full ride minus like your living expenses. So all your academic expenses are paid for. There are also like government granted scholarships, like the Belt and Road scholarships, which is specifically for I think Southeast Asian countries. So I think most of the Filipinos, we're only around 10 to be honest, but like most of the Filipinos in HKUST, we're on a scholarship, and most of them are on full ride. For like IB students, I know that there are like some people, if you get like a full score, like a 45, you can get like a full ride plus an allowance. So I have a few friends who have an allowance as well. So yeah, they're pretty generous with their scholarships in Hong Kong.
Thank you so much for your answer. So our next question is, what are some of the challenges you faced while studying abroad in your field, and how did you overcome them?
So for me, I'm still an incoming freshman, so I haven't really faced any challenges yet in college. But in terms of the application process, a setback for me was the mere decision on whether I wanted to actually go abroad and leave my family behind. And also I discussing with my family, it was best for me to apply to schools where my relatives in the States live in. But then Notre Dame also is in Indiana, and it's the only school where I didn't have relatives in. So that was definitely something to think about. But considering the generous scholarship that they gave and the academic opportunities, that's something I was willing that was something I was willing to take the risk for. So yes.
For me, some of the challenges that I faced when studying at UBC, probably like getting culture shock, not having family there in Vancouver, except for my sister, since my sister was already studying at UBC. So it was easier for me to make the decision of like whether I wanted to go to UBC or not. Like I remember getting my email, and then I was kind of like, I didn't know if I really wanted to go to UBC, since I just applied to UBC for fun. Actually, I had no plans in going to UBC at all. And when I got in, I was thinking about the pros and cons. Well, the pros are better education, more independence, and getting to build character there. And the cons is that my family and friends are all the way here, and I might just get homesick or feel left out with everything that's gonna be happening here. But then for me, I just thought about it's just gonna be a few months of studying, and then I'm gonna come back home to the Philippines every Christmas and summer break. So it's just like trying to tiis na lang the being abroad there. And I guess for Vancouver, it's the weather there is really bad. Like it rains almost every single day, so it's like depressing, and you don't want to go to school anymore. Like especially in university, you can just like skip classes. Like they won't check attendance sometimes. So I get tempted to skip class sometimes because of the weather, like having to go out and it's like freezing there. So it's really like hassle to like go to class. And yeah, but I guess some of the challenges also, yeah, the culture shock. I had to like I had to make like a lot of different friends. I couldn't just like stick to the Filipinos who are also in UBC, since I wouldn't be able to like get out of my comfort zone as well. And I'm not gonna have a Filipino in every single class. So yeah, those are some of the challenges that I had.
Yeah. For challenges when moving to the UK, socially, I think there weren't so many challenges because I think if you want to make friends, that everyone will be happy to make friends with you. It's not necessarily as given as in the US because their student accommodation there is only for the first year. So you're not living in a dorm with a bunch of people your entire stay in university. So you have to actively put yourself in situations where you can make friends. But there are really big Filipino communities. There are really big communities for any interest. We have a Taylor Swift club with like 300 people. But in general, it's really easy to make friends if you want to make friends. Academically, though, I think there is a pretty big gap in the level of teaching you have there in the Philippines versus in the UK. In terms of, I did higher level math in the Philippines and I thought I was quite good. Then I go there and I'm really far behind. So it's just a lot of work to catch up to everything. But it's not impossible, and you can still do it if you're interested in the field that you're going into.
For me, I think the biggest challenge was culture shock. So Singaporeans have a very different way of doing things as compared to Filipinos. I came from a Chinese school in the Philippines, and I thought that my school was quite intense, but it's way more intense there. Like, people would be at the library until morning, or like sometimes you just go sleep there and just go straight to class. Everyone's really intense. So I think if you're someone that wants to have a really chill uni experience, this might not be the place for you. And I discovered that too late. But yeah. Another thing is that a lot of the Singaporeans, when they enter the university, they go through this thing called JC or Poly. So it's junior college or polytechnic college. So before they even get to uni, they already are kind of equipped. So you're going against these people that already know a lot of things about what you want to study. So that's another thing to take note of. Also, that in Singapore, they grade you by bell curve. So if everyone in your class is doing really well and you're doing bad, you will fail. Something like that. So, for example, let's say everyone gets a 99 and then you get a 87, you will fail. So just work hard, and yeah, it was a challenge.
Actually, Hong Kong is very similar to how Julia described Singapore. So I also came from a Chinese school thinking everything was like so hard. But then when you go to HKUST, it's like crazy. People would literally camp in the library, especially during final season. Like you'd see them come in 7 a.m. with their blankets and a packed lunch, and they do not leave. Because if you stand up from the table, someone will get it, and then you will not be able to study in the library anymore. Like, they will actually like just fight for a single like table in the library, and it's crazy. Also, I think for socially, I didn't have much of a problem, I think, because everyone there were pretty kind of easygoing, and they were really open to making friendships, at least for the people I've met. So I think that was a good thing. For grading as well, we're also on the bell curve, so it's tough. It's like the competition is crazy. Like, people would really fight to get to know what you got, and like if they did better than you, and if they did better than you, then it's good for them, and they'll rub it in your face. Some of the locals are like that, yeah.
So now that you've all shared the opportunities and challenges that you've faced in your experiences in your college, do you now have any advice for people who are still undecided about what they want to do / where they want to go for college?
So I would just have to say to keep your options open. I started thinking about studying abroad in grade 9, and I had an extensive college list throughout high school. And it just kept changing based on my preferences and my newly found interests. So just joined a lot of college fairs because it was actually in camp where I learned about Notre Dame in senior year. And I ultimately found that it was the best fit for me, even more than my dream schools at that time. So don't feel pressured to actually know what you want to do right now, especially if you're still in your early years of high school. So the best piece of advice I could give is to continue doing the extracurricular activities that you're passionate about, that give you fulfillment and happiness, and that you know you're truly skilled in. So I joined a lot of organizations and started a bunch of passion projects and hobbies in high school without thinking of college applications. And these were the ones that helped me gain a sense of identity in terms of the career I want when it was actually time to start the process. And also, don't be scared to ask around. And in regards to choosing a destination for college, start researching for this early, though, taking into account which schools are best known for what specific field you're into, so you won't be overwhelmed with the many requirements should you choose to study in a particular country.
Okay, so from my answer a while ago, yeah, my advice would be weighing the pros and cons before entering, before choosing where you want to go. And just like what Jada said, choose the country that you really want to go to. Like as I mentioned, Vancouver is very depressing. So I know some people who were already in their first and second year and they left UBC to go back to the Philippines just because of the weather, and that it was that bad. And I guess I'll mention again, like the pros for me was that I learned better education for sure, being more independent. Like I didn't have yaya or driver that anymore. And I guess what I really liked about it was the independence. I could just use the bus anytime I wanted to or wherever I wanted to go. And the cons was that my family and friends were back here. And yeah, be afraid to ask around or just ask any there are a lot of people who are willing to help you, and every faculty has an advisor and they have drop-ins when you can just go like between 1 to 4 p.m. and you can just ask them any question you want about any thoughts you have. And we also have our own personal school advisor, so every student will be given like someone that they can just message like directly and ask your concerns about. So it's different for everyone. And yeah, for me personally, I'm still undecided on what major I want to do. So the drop-ins for me and the academic advising so were very helpful since I didn't know where I wanted to go. And yeah, that's my
I can only speak to the US and the UK because those are the ones that I applied for. But essentially, if you're still not so sure what you want to do, and it's already application season, it's much easier to shift majors and actually decide what you want to do or like get interdisciplinary stuff in the US. But if you have an idea of what you already want to do, so I always wanted to get into engineering. The UK is a much more streamlined and very precise thing. So for example, I can get my master's degree in 4 years coming out of high school, versus in the US, that would be 6. And that's because in the UK, you can't mix courses together. So it's 4 years straight of exactly one course, and that's why they can make it faster. And also the UK, if you've decided what you want to focus on, is roughly half the price of the US. So that's also a decision point.
I think for me, if you're not so sure about what you want to study, definitely just really do a lot of research and ask around. Like, don't be afraid to ask around. I can't give that much advice on it because I think I knew what I wanted to study even before high school, and I knew I wanted to leave because I had strict parents. But definitely, yeah, really ask around and weigh your options. And I think if you want to go, but you're really scared, I think it's very important to tell yourself that you'll really only grow when you're outside of your comfort zone. And for me, moving to Singapore had so many challenges, but the person I am today is definitely completely different from who I was 5 years ago. And I'm very, very grateful of my choice.
So I think one piece of advice I could give is just to not be afraid of like switching like your path. So for me, I was a graduate of like I had for senior high I took STEM. So I was like in like really streamlined in biology and chemistry, but then I totally switched up and took business. And I think that could scare a lot of people, especially going into a major in college, not having any courses in that fields. I never had any business related courses before uni. And that made me like behind on some like aspects, but then I think it's always doable if you really want to do it. Um Also like if you're scared of going abroad, I feel like you should just kind of see where you want to be. Like, especially when you're going to be, I think like even the fellow panelists could attest to this. It's like if you really go abroad, you'll really find yourself in a new way. Like you'll have like a complete change in like the way you view things, the way you deal with people, the way you deal with things, and how you react to certain situations. And I think that could also just be like an effect of like being in the company of like so many different people and some people from so many different upbringings. So I feel like if you're not entirely sure and like you kind of want to go abroad but you don't as well, like you're scared of it, I feel like you should just ask around about their experiences, but also don't take it like take it with a grain of salt, because like your experience could be super different from other people's. So yeah.
Thank you. So now that we've moved on to one of the last preset question, we now want to ask, what advice do you have for students who are interested in pursuing your field abroad but are uncertain about how to choose the right destination or program?
So knowing what field you want to pursue is already a step in the right direction. Let what you're passionate about pave your way into the school and the location where you think you'll thrive in the most. So ask around, check your high school's alumni network and where they're studying now. And if what they're doing aligns with your interests too, you can reach out to them. Talk to your guidance counselor or other Filipinos you come across, even on social media, doing even the slightest bit of what you think you want to do. Don't be afraid, because I'm certain they'll be happy to help you and connect you to other people they know who may have been in your situation and have tips. And finances should also be taken into consideration, but don't let it stop you from applying to schools you really want, because you'll be surprised at how many financial aid and scholarship opportunities there are, especially in the States. So what's valuable about universities abroad and in the States is that they don't really look into your stats, but you as an individual with unique interests and backgrounds. So use that as your power.
So I have the same answer as Jada, and to add to that, like what I mentioned a while ago, if you don't know what major you want to choose in, we have the faculty advisors with the drop-ins, or you can schedule a Zoom meeting with them, and you have your own personal school advisor as well. And yeah, don't be afraid to like ask anyone, or like even family or friends or alumni from your school who also went to that university. And also like research about the university and what their faculties or their specialties. Like I know that I think UBC has a good business program with I think 6% passing rate, and then I think for international economics it's like I think 100 only 100 people get in. So yeah, just make sure to like know which universities and like what are their specialties, so that you know like what you're passionate about and that it will go align with your university of choice.
One tip I would give is if you don't have like alumni connections to anything you're specifically interested in, LinkedIn is a really good tool, because everyone posts about their university and their achievements in LinkedIn, and then you can just message someone. You just look for whatever you're interested in. Apart from that, I would suggest if you're interested in a particular field, I would say focus on maybe two to three reach schools and have at least one safety in mind before you apply, so that you like know the range of stuff that you're willing to study, depending on what you end up focusing on.
Honestly, for me, I think they covered everything that I have to say. Like, don't be afraid to ask, research, blah, blah. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, same for me too. I feel like if you want to pursue like business in Hong Kong or business somewhere else, I feel like just do your research and look at the opportunities for each school. Like for me, what I was drawn to in Hong Kong is that we weren't required to pick a major like right off the bat. So especially for me coming from a STEM background, not knowing anything in business, it's a really good way to just kind of step into the course. And then like for our first few years, like the first 3 semesters, we're all taking a core curriculum. So we'd have like basic courses in all of the majors that are presented to us. So for that alone, like we can have like just kind of like a dip into like all of the different majors like we can take. And then from there you can decide after like I think in your second year, like in your second year or like the end of your first year, you can already apply for a major. So I feel like if you're interested in like a certain field, you can just look at like places that do it well and places that match your lifestyle also and your personality. So like you can see like for example in Hong Kong it's like really like bustling and like it's like really fast paced. So if you're into that, then you can go there. And like there's also other countries that are more like laid back. So if you want like a chiller university life and you want to take business, then you can apply to those countries.
Thank you so much for all your answers. So as I mentioned, that was our last preset question. So now we'll open the floor officially for a Q&A session. And once again, to our participants, please remember to send your questions in the Q&A box and not the chat box. So now I'll start reading the questions that were sent first to the latest. So the first is a general question for all of you, and we want to add, this person wants to ask, what is the reason why you chose to study abroad?
So for me, I chose to study abroad, in particularly Notre Dame, because I wanted a traditional college experience. So Notre Dame, it's very into sports, like watching football games, lots of clubs and organizations. So that's what I feel like I would enjoy more as compared to schools in the Philippines. And in terms of design, I think studying art and design abroad is very different in terms of the scope of what you're able to learn. Because here, like creative majors usually fall under the title Bachelor of Fine Arts. So it typically restricts you to like traditional studio art classes. And double majoring isn't also a common thing. So this can limit job opportunities in my case, especially if you want to go into more in-depth fields like UX UI design and web design, where a coding background could be helpful with an arts degree. So then I highly recommend looking into schools abroad that allow this type of exploration.
For me, my main reason talaga from the start was because my sister was already there. And since having her there, I knew it'd be easier for me already. And I guess like a silly answer would be like ever since I was a kid, I've always wanted to like be those types of like those American kids like walking to school in like the big yellow school bus, like carrying their like brown lunch bag and then like just walking to class and like having those like full-size lockers. But like I've been in like MGC for like my whole life, so I didn't have that experience. And I guess I was now that I'm in UBC, I can like walk to my own class, which is nakakatamad now. And I can like make my own brown bag lunches. And it's like I'm living the movie life. So it's a shallow answer, but like that's what interests me. That's like kind of why I wanted to go also.
Yeah, the main reason I wanted to study abroad is I felt that the engineering scene in the Philippines wasn't as desirable as I wanted it to be, which is so I wanted to look for like more engineering scenes with more things provided for you and more opportunities. So that's pretty much it.
For me, I chose to study abroad. Like the real main reason that pushed me, I mentioned earlier, I have really strict parents, and I felt that I will have such a sad college life if they're gonna be extra strict. Also because I felt that ever since at a young age, I couldn't really, at least in my school, I didn't super fit in terms of character and I guess like mindset. So I knew that being in a different place would definitely let me meet different people and also really challenge my views and challenge my strengths. Because I feel like when you grow up in a little, like in a bubble, you think that you're so capable with something, but in reality, when you're benchmarked to other people globally, you're not that good. So I felt that being in Singapore, or studying abroad, you'd be able to get more exposed and understand what are you really good at the same time, what really are your strengths, and that builds your confidence.
Yeah, so my experience is kind of different from theirs. So I actually didn't know I wanted to study abroad until like my senior year. So when I was like the summer before my senior year, that's when I just started looking at universities and looking at the requirements I had to take, so like SATs, for example. So I started looking at those like just like the summer before application season. So I was pretty much like really late and behind on like all the college admissions prep. But then I feel like the main reason why I decided to go abroad was just one, the opportunity was already given to me. So like they gave me a pretty good offer. So I was like, why shouldn't I take it up? And also I guess I was just really open for a change. Like because I applied to like the top 4 universities in the Philippines and I just couldn't see where I would fit in. So like I just couldn't find a school that I was like intrigued with and like I really wanted to go to in the Philippines. So I decided to just take the offer abroad.
Can I add something too? I also didn't like my teachers that much. I felt that, yeah, I don't like my teachers. I wanted a different set of teachers that I felt like had more credibility in terms of what they were teaching. Yeah, so that was a thing that I considered.
Thank you for your answer. So the next question is, I think, specifically for Julia. This person wants to ask, does SMU require the SAT?
Yeah, they require the SAT for international students. I think I'll help you out and give you like a score now. It has to be at least above like 1,350, but go as high as you can, obviously, to secure your spot because a lot of people are very competitive.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Julia. So next is a more general question. And if this applies to you, you may feel free to answer it. This person asks, do you have scholarships? How much does it cover to fund your studies abroad?
Okay, so for me, I applied for financial aid to all schools that were offering this, and luckily was able to get a full ride. So in applying to the States as an international, answering the CSS profile is the easiest way to get your financial aid application across to all the US universities you're applying to. So also look into College Board's Big Future site for other scholarship opportunities available.
For me, I don't have scholarship. So yeah, I don't have any scholarship, but I know that if you're an international student, it's definitely more expensive compared to if you're Canadian in UBC. And yeah, but if you want to apply for scholarship, you can also take the IMES scholarship, which you need to just maintain 75% in all your classes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't have a scholarship.
I don't have a scholarship too.
Oh, but just to add, I think for international student fee, it's 3 times for local Canadians. Like so international is 3 times more expensive.
So I do have a scholarship. I was offered like the scholarship from the school, so it was a full admission scholarship and as well as the one from the government. Both are full rides, so you just get a full ride. You don't get double of it. And then for what I know, you have to maintain a minimum grade of like a 3 out of a 4.3 GPA. Yeah.
So thank you for all those answers because we're running out of time. So I'll just ask 1 or 2 questions. This one again is for Julia. Does this is again one for scholarships. Do Singaporean unis offer scholarship to transfer applicants?
I don't know, but if you Google, I'm sure you'll find the answer to that.
Okay, thank you. I think this is now a more general question for all of you. Is are extracurriculars a big deal? Oh, wait, this is for Julia, sorry. Are extracurriculars a big deal for Singaporean universities?
I don't know, to be honest, but I was applying to a lot of universities, so I really did a lot of things during high school. Like it was mentioned a while ago, I co-founded an organization when I was 16. I used to sail for the national team, blah, blah, blah. So like, I think really do a lot of things if you can, but I don't think it's the biggest deal in Singapore. I really don't think it's the biggest deal. To be honest, I think if you have good grades, at least for SMU, I don't know how it is for NUS. I think NUS, they care more about extracurriculars. And when I talk about extracurriculars, you can't just say like, oh, I like to do this. You have to win. Like you have to be top in the country or top in this. They don't care if you're just, it's your hobby. Like you have to really perform well. But for SMU, I don't think it's the biggest deal. But for NUS, I think it's something they look at more.
Thank you. Now, this specific question is for Renne. For UBC, is it required to take English proficiency tests, or is it okay to present a certification showing that English is used in teaching? Also, what are the profs and student life and academic load like there?
So for the English test, I'm not too sure if you can just show them that you had you have English, but like for me, I had to, since I'm not an IB, I had to take IELTS. So I think UBC's minimum score is 6.5, and in the IELTS we had to show that we know how to like write, speak, listen, and I forgot the last one, but then I think you can Google that also. So for the speaking part, we had to someone had to interview us and just casual talk. Like the person asked me like what my favorite weather is and like what my favorite season is. And then for the writing, we had a diagram and we had to write the steps on, for me, like steps on how to like make a toothpick. And then for the listening one, you just had to like listen and then like write it down, I think. And then there's also reading comprehension. So yeah. What was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, what are the profs and student life and academic load like there?
It depends on what faculty you're in. So I know for engineering, they basically don't have a life there. They have to take like 7 classes from like I think 7 a.m. until like 7 p.m. Like the engineering students have a really hard time in UBC, but then I know they get like a ring at the end when they graduate, so that's like good. And then the profs they're pretty good. My suggestion is you can go to rate my prof on Google and then just search the name of your prof there and what university you're from, and then there are ratings for the prof, and it'll help you choose if you want this prof for your class. So for me, I had the problem of getting one of my econ profs there, and he was really bad, and I saw his ratings and they were like, it was like a 2 out of 5. So next time it also says on the rate my prof like if they're a tough grader, lectures are fun, and there are also comments on it. And then for the student life, we actually have a Filipino club there. It's called UBC Kababayan. So a lot of Filipinos are there from like Xavier, Ika, BSM, ISM, and yeah, it's like a home away from home.
Thank you. So unfortunately, there are a lot of questions that our participants want to ask, but we really have to wrap up. So that will conclude the session. And thank you all for your active participation. I hope that our beloved panelists were able to shed light on your curiosities and concerns. For extra questions, can the participants reach out to you after the session? This is for our panelists. So is there any way for them to contact you? If so, please feel free to send out your contact details in the chat box. But if not, that is also completely fine. And we would like to thank you for your participation and insight during this panel. For more specific concerns or questions to our participants, please also check out our office hours tomorrow. More information about this will be sent to the chat box right now. So to our participants, please feel free to take note of the contact information sent by our panelists in the chat box right now. So on behalf of CAMP's 2023 facilitation team, I would like to extend our sincerest gratitude and appreciation to you all for sharing with us your valuable insights today. We're so grateful for you accepting our panel invitation. Finally, let's give a round of applause for Anika, Julia, Isaac, Renne, and Jada. And with that, this session wraps up day 7 of our conference. See you guys for the last day of our conference tomorrow.
Bye. Thank you.